held in our hearts.
I have a little bit of a meditational moment on just the topic of interconnectedness, and it's by a regular old person, not a philosopher and not a UU specialist. Her name is Nikki Grant, and I love every one of her words. I invite you to take a moment, close your eyes if you will. We all come from the same place. Our souls come from Source. The light inside is love. And we were all sent to earth as spiritual beings having that human experience. We all decided to live on earth in order to understand unconditional love because we're made of that. And know everyone on this planet deserves it, no matter what sins or transgressions they and we experience. And that's why we connect with people. We see, we feel that common light between our souls. It's threaded right through us. You can even witness the growth between people just by being in their mere presence. That's why people come and go in your life, to show you things about yourself, the good and the bad. It's just we need to decipher those messages and make the choice to improve our lives. The light and the love someone gives you is there for a reason. Sometimes it's subtle, other times it's intense. That light attracts the light. The dark attracts the dark. It's all interconnected, and some things we just can't control or plan for. It just is. Our interconnection is due to coming from the same place as spiritual beings. At the end of all of this, the one thing we're guaranteed is death on this planet. We will rise back into the light within Source and going back home, if you will. Remember that no meeting with any soul is by chance. It is about alignment. That's why we are interconnected on an astral plane. It's about the soul. Thank you.
This is the offering. This is the time when we open our hearts and share our well-being with our church community and a worthy organization. Our financial offering each week is shared between the General Operating Fund and a designated nonprofit. For the month of April, the half plate goes to the Virginia Thurston Healing Garden for cancer patients. May we continue to be as generous as possible.
Shanadine stole my thunder, but I want to welcome a friend, a wonderful musician. He happens to be his piano violin teacher. Angel is his teacher, and he's playing wonderful violin, and he's very nervous. I rehearsed with them, and it's just amazing what they did together. It's amazing.
Bach's double violin concerto is one of my favorite pieces of classical music, so thank you. That was wonderful. I want to thank Lisa and the worship committee for inviting me to share my poetry with you. It's very special to be back in this congregation, this wonderful sacred space. I've divided my readings into 2 sections with 3 poems each. The choir's anthem will be in between the 2 sections. As I read, I invite you to let the images I speak and the emotions you feel just flow through your imagination. Experience it, don't think about it. This is my book. It's called a chapbook because it's small, a short book. I titled my book Across the Street because from an early age, I was very aware of the world around me, and I learned who I was and what matters most to me by reflecting on the world and my place in it. The opening hymn that we sang, A Song of Peace, was an anthem in my family. We sang it together a lot. When I was 7.5, my parents went to work for the United Church Board for World Ministries, and they moved with 5 kids to Guadalajara, Mexico, where we lived for 6 years. This first poem speaks to an experience one afternoon that profoundly shaped my life, my values, political orientations, and commitments. Across the street, age 9, Guadalajara, Mexico. If memory has it right, the afternoon rain was late that day, allowing the workmen to add a few more stones to what was slowly becoming a church. At first, I didn't notice the night watchman's son, about my age but smaller, standing barefoot, watching me watch strong backs haul heavy bundles to men on scaffolds high above his adobe hut. Each morning, his mother came outside to sweep smooth the dirt, disheveled by spilled mortar and huarache footprints that crisscrossed her space from sunup to sundown. Only the concept of home, hogar, marked the boundary between dirt floor and yard. That morning, the woman gave thanks to the Virgin Mary as her husband snored softly after a long night keeping watch. Only once did she step inside the almost church with its earthen floor and roofless sanctuary, while workmen rested in the shade, laughing and smoking, ignoring the intruder. Surely she was blessed, for no other mortal had knelt on the spot where someday the Blessed Virgin would stand, would reign over women's hearts, would bless her young boy, frail, smart, brave. Yes, I'm imagining the details, but I've told the truth. I saw the woman and her homemade broom. My mother taught me to hear the song in love-swept dirt floors. I pictured living with such a floor, my belongings hanging from a nail, and on cold nights, my sister and I moving close together on our mat. But what of the boy across the street, watching the girl on the balcony of a 2-story house with fenced yard bordered by roses and a gate that opened when she walked her dog dressed with collar and leash? Did his mother tell stories that helped him imagine sleeping in a bed all his own after a warm bath and hot cocoa? Watching the workmen that day, waiting for the rain and the brilliant sunset to follow, the eyes of a boy caught mine across the wide gulf of our street. What I remember feeling most strongly that day was that it wasn't fair that I had so much and he had so little. I wanted to dedicate my life to changing that inequality, and I thought, I'm going to become a social worker. When we encounter people who seem different from us because of class, race, gender, or political orientations, we can learn a lot by watching how children navigate those differences, even very shy children. This poem is called Costurera, the Sewing Lady, Guadalajara, age 10. It was cheaper to have a dress made than to buy one at a store. We took a bus, Mom, little sister, and me, carrying 2 small bundles of material and a picture from a magazine, a dress with puffy sleeves and a pinafore. The sewing lady opened the door, which bordered the sidewalk. In the front room was a small kitchen, a table with a sewing machine, a couple of chairs, and a bed. A girl about my age peeked out from a doorway to the only other room. Our eyes met briefly. Her mother glanced at the picture, said, "See, yes," measured my chest, waist, shoulder to shoulder, called me flaca, skinny. Then measured Lori, said, "Come back in a week." We were there all of 10 minutes. She didn't write anything down. How would she remember that mine had the blue flowers and Lori's the pink? That I didn't want puffy sleeves, only the pinafore. A week later, my blue dress with pinafore fit perfectly. Lori loved her puffy pink sleeves. The sewing lady had us stand on a chair, put one pin where the hem should be, said, "Come back in 2 days." The girl stepped out of the doorway and smiled at me. A few weeks later, we returned with soft green plaid material and a picture of a shirtwaist dress. The sewing lady took it, nodded, said, "Come back in a week." Her daughter gave me a little wave, and I waved back. The next week, our dresses were wrapped in brown paper, tied with string. The sewing lady seemed offended when Mom suggested we try them on. So she paid the lady, and we turned to leave. I looked back and saw the girl wearing a patchwork dress of blue flowers, pink flowers, soft green plaid, and a small white apron with a big bow. I smiled at her, and she smiled back. One way we deepen the interdependent web of life is to put a face on the people whose lives we intersect with in unknown and indirect, sometimes unseen ways. In this poem, I'm in my first year out of college as a bilingual teacher for migrant farm worker children in Greeley, Colorado. El Rancho. At first, they were ashamed to speak Spanish. The migrant farm worker kids I was hired to teach in small groups throughout the day. My tiny windowless room sat above the furnace. I hung Mexican sarapes, posters in Spanish, brought in my turntable to play mariachi music. My room became a haven. I created a board game, El Rancho. The first to reach the last square got to own the farm and choose the next activity. In another game, students collected pride points by landing on squares with pictures of Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta, Emiliano Zapata. The first time I was teacher on duty at recess, I saw a dozen or more farm workers in a field across the street. They were all bent over at the waist, wearing long sleeve shirts and hats or scarves. I asked the kids hanging out by me if they knew what the people were picking. A chorus of voices answered, "Oh yes, onions. My mom is over there. My dad's there too, and my grandma." I asked if they ever pick onions. "Yes, on Saturdays we work all day. Onions are the worst. They burn your eyes, make you cry." That weekend was a hot one. I thought of my students, just children, bent at the waist, picking onions. My eyes burned. My next poem does not speak to literal events in my life, but it does speak a truth. There are 4 parts to the poem, identified using the format of a 4-part musical piece with overture, counterpoint, minuet, and coda. Across the street, an exposition in 4 movements. 1, overture in A flat, Worcester. The widower from across the street sits alone in a nursing home, his empty house looking no worse for his 14-month absence. At the library downtown, a woman's odor betrays where she spends her nights. Her eyes glazed with neither memory nor hope. A dropout needing a fix goes looking for an empty house. 2, counterpoint. Khartoum, Kandahar, Bakhmut, Rafah. Shrouded behind a heavy black shawl, hidden tears speak the language of grief. A bomb dug her husband's grave, and now the stench of dust and destruction clouds the memory of home. A bullet from across the street pierces her heart, but it's her young son who dies. Childless mother, wandering widow, she wails in the key of A flat minor. 3, minuet by remote, Worcester. The smell of his own dried urine transports the widower to a foxhole, back to when he fought the big one. But he can't remember where or why. With trembling hand, he takes aim with his remote control, hoping that by changing channels, he can save the country. He finds the Boston Pops, recalling better days with TV tray suppers in their sunroom. In a park nearby, the laughter of children on swings, flying their B-1 bombers to the sky. 4, coda in blue notes, Khartoum, Kandahar, Bakhmut, Rafah. Young boys play near smoldering craters, launching slingshot missiles to victory. Grandfathers look away as they mourn the children's lost innocence. Mothers pray as they watch from across their street. That is also my street. We live in challenging times, and while we feel our sorrows and concerns very deeply, we also need to remember that there is also compassion and joy. I wrote this poem sometime during the COVID lockdown. It's called Somewhere. Somewhere, A grandfather dies from COVID. A small factory goes bankrupt. 24 workers fired. Somewhere, a knee on a neck. Tear gas burns eyes. Angry man with angry flag throws Molotov cocktail at what he thinks is a mosque. And somewhere, a toddler picks dandelions for his grandma. A daughter brings groceries to her dad, then washes and changes his sheets. Somewhere, a teacher stays late, knowing the girl is afraid to go home on Wednesdays. A letter carrier sees the old woman in her driveway, carries her groceries onto the porch. A father bathes the baby so the mom can just flop and stream that show from last season. 1,000 acts of kindness in cities, towns, and country roads. From the neighbor who's afraid of immigrants, to the Honduran mother who fears deportation, but goes to the rally anyway. And seeing her carrying a baby, a homeless man makes room on the bench. Somewhere, a dog barks when a child has a seizure, and the parents are glad they chose the chocolate lab who's missing a leg. So Lisa's pointing out that I have more time to add a couple of poems. So I thought I would read this one. It's called My Grandson's Socks. My grandson's socks are pink, soft baby pink. Couldn't wait to pull off his boots, show Chrissy at daycare, later show me. At the baby shower for his soon-to-be sister, people admired them. And when the firefighter friend put a purple flower in his hair, he wore that look at me grin. He brought home a pink balloon, dragged it everywhere like a favorite teddy bear. Years ago, when my daughter was 2, a boy in her daycare draped a necklace of flowers around his neck. Teacher's aide rushed over, said, "Boys don't wear necklaces or flowers." That's why, when my grandson was born, I painted Ferdinand the Gentle Bull for his room. Why I bought him a onesie with flowers, and why my heart almost breaks as I watch him digging in his sandbox, wearing only his diaper, his blue bike helmet, and delightfully stained pink socks. Okay. I'm fortunate to live on a lake in Worcester, and this is called Sunset in Autumn. Evenings, when the lake is orange and pink, I know I've lived well that day. Those streets are unread somewhere else. The war is not mine tonight. Swans sail to their nighttime refuge. Frogs resurrect their orchestra. No wind, no rain, just the soothing sound of ripples as I linger by the shore, away from the war on my screen. In the song that the choir sang, I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. There's a prayer-like call to nature. Give me a mighty oak to hold my confusion. Give me a desert to hold my fears. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder. Give me an ocean to hold my tears. Three places that hold me the strongest are rivers, the Red Rock Canyons of the Southwest, and especially the mountains in Colorado. Getting older and dealing with illness keeps me from enjoying nature in the ways I used to. And during the COVID lockdown, I couldn't travel to Colorado either. So I got out my watercolors and decided to paint myself into places I wanted to be. And I have a slide that I don't know if it is up there now. What's that? You just saw it, okay. This is my last poem before we sing our closing hymn, called Aging Painter. I paint myself in whitewater rapids, grab a branch when my kayak capsizes. At dusk, roast trout on the campfire stove. Watch constellations set, morning haze rise. I paint my legs propped on deck railing, dog's head on my lap after hiking all day. Across the valley, the mountains I long for, right there when I need their calm. With my paints, cold press block, and round 20 brush, I could be in Paris, Barcelona, Crete, or perhaps be a child again, climb the walnut tree in my yard. I create magic that transforms me from this body unwilling, from resources slim. And now, as these shadow years grow dim, I feel the pull of alizarin crimson, burnt sienna, ultramarine, as if ancients are calling me to a Red Rock Canyon where maybe I lived in a hogan many lifetimes ago, as if by returning, I'll remember. We're now going to sing hymn number, let's see, 170, We Are a Gentle, Angry People. just a sleeping people, and we are singing, singing the Before I read the benediction, I want to remind people to join us in Parish Hall for a presentation, followed by coffee hour, and I will have my books there to look at or buy. If you don't like it, quantum physics says we can't know where the purple stripe is, because reality is a wave function, a probability that is both here and there, or maybe both, or nowhere. You'd know this if you'd been open-minded, or brave enough to go through the wormhole beyond space-time to another universe where the lives we might have lived are being lived. The childhood we longed for, where we got the puppy, the expensive doll, and carbo binging is the key to good health. If you don't like it here, just remember that your alternative selves in alternative universes might be wondering, what if their sky was a deep azure blue? Their sun could warm houses through open windows, and brains could invent poetry. We got you, babe. Please stay here. We need you, we need you, we need
remind you. There's a bunch of people who have gathered together and have formed a new initiative for us to hear. And it's for all of us to decide whether we want to go in this direction or not. But the only way you know whether you want to go in this direction is to know what it is. So, Adi, it's all yours.
Hello, I'm Adi Pandit, and we are passing out some handouts. They are limited edition, so please share. There is strength in numbers. Yeah. So the presentation we are making today is, I see many folks are reading the handout very carefully. Thank you for that. There'll be a quiz afterwards, so pay attention. So so I've been with the church since 2010. I'm not bad at math, so you do the math. So we, as a community, we get together and host multiple cultural events, like the open mic we did last Friday, the Prince Edward Island concert that we did yesterday.
Rip snorting.
Yep. And then we have the Solar Jazz Festival, the jazz concert series, and then we'll be doing another fundraising concert next Saturday by Skip Von Kusk, who's a multi-instrumentalist who layers sounds with loops. So please don't forget to come. It will be quite an experience. So this artist will be donating the proceeds for our Steeple Fund. So we are really looking forward to that. So I give that background to give an example that as a group, many of us do multiple cultural events, and we have realized we struggle to market it because we refer to the space we have as the sanctuary, the meeting house, the parish house, the music room. And over the past month or two, we started thinking that maybe we can build an umbrella band, and we brainstormed about the idea. And we are very lucky that this is a very historic space, historically called the Meeting House. This was the first place where the folks from Northborough, before the town was formed, this space existed as a place where people come together, meet, do church services, town affairs. The first school was over here, and Kathleen can say more about because she has done a lot of research. So we wanted to leverage that brand, that we are the first meeting house of this town. We wanted to leverage the location, that we are in the center of the town. There are many initiatives going around within the town to create a character of the town as for the town center, and we are definitely very well located for that. So we wanted to leverage that history and location and build out for the future. So we can brand this space as a Meeting House Art Center. That's the name we came up with, which represents the cultural aspect of our community. So we have a spiritual and religious side, but at the same time, we are a very musically talented and culturally involved community. And as a group, we definitely care about the community around us, and we like to share with the community around us. So this will be that caring and sharing in action, where going forward, we use that umbrella brand, and we are hoping it makes it easy to market in our events in the future, so that we reach a stage where if somebody doesn't have any plans for the weekend, they check out, hey, what's going out at the Meeting House Art Center? And they show up here for whatever paintings we are putting here or concert we are doing here. So that's the idea. Anybody else wants to add anything?
I would say, having been a part of the governing board for so long and the Solar Jazz Festival and presenting last night, the worst part about it is social media. is doing that too, and just staying on top of that. And that's like one of the great gifts of this event, and where Lori in particular just shines, and it is such a help. So last night, we had people here from Wilmington, Mass, that came to hear them because they're a known group. You know, being able to just, like, booking is so easy. Opening the parish house or the meeting house is so easy, but the social media is tough. So having an umbrella organization and helping to brand that in the community as an elected official on school committee, I can tell you nobody knows what First Parish is. I cannot use that reference. I do have to say the Church with the Red Doors on the Hill. And so they're really, in advancing this, is just pushing that ball forward within the community, and it's just right, and I think it will be very successful.
Yeah, and just to add to the example from yesterday, Lori and I, like, we did the marketing and everything. The artist herself has a very good following. Anybody who goes to Prince Edward Island shows up at her concert. And I was standing there, and it felt amazing. I host the open mic where we work our bottoms out, and we make $100 or so. People are just giving money. You're here, 20, 20, 20, and we made like $300 just by standing there. That's how I felt. And even the space gets transformed into, like, they do like a Scottish and Irish tunes. We were like transported to a kitchen in Prince Edward Island, and everybody was having fun.
The acoustics here are just magnificent for making music in. Really, especially this house, this building has fantastic acoustics, and that's so versatile with the stage too. We've got choices in where we present, which is really also a delightful opportunity for us.
Yep.
I would just like to add sound healings. I travel around all of Massachusetts to do sound healings. And when sound healings are within a church where you have a lot of faith and a lot of belief, there's a lot of healing that can take place. People that play the didgeridoo, people that play ancient instruments like that, bringing them into a place like that. In Littleton, there's a woman that has a place called Wild at Heart, and when she brings in more popular artists, she'll move it to the Unitarian Church right next door in Littleton. I think the guy's name is Mike Timbrolo or something, but there's several sound healing people that are looking for places to bring their sound healing, and that's a whole different audience of people that don't really go to church every week, but they're looking for that connection with other people that want to heal. So that's another thing to tap into with these acoustics.
Yeah, definitely. We were going to, I had talked about doing music sanctuaries, like Saturday at 3 o'clock, come for live sedative restorative music. Sit, meditate, lie down if you want to do watercolors. But we would open that, and we would need to talk about the economic, but there's no shortage of ideas of how to use this space, that's for sure.
Like, for example, the concert we have next Saturday, it's called Meditation in Layers. So it's very meditative and amazing experience. So,
Speak to the fact that we will also be financially supporting some other communities.
yeah, so we have a amazing half-plate culture. We want to carry it forward and connect with other community groups within town and around us and share the proceeds with them. It's, besides financially supporting, it's more for connecting with the communities which is outside us. To, like, it's very difficult to motivate people to get off their couches, off their devices, and come into another physical space. So we hope to be able to do that more often. Yeah. Thanks, Ilya, for reminding that. Yes. Yeah, so the proposal will be, yeah, Celia. Yeah, so we'll be making a proposal in the annual meeting to use that brand name, Meeting House Art Center, for the events, cultural events that we host in our space. Any questions about that, or so? Yes, any questions from Zoom?
No, questions here, speaking to the microphone, so people on Zoom can hear.
Oh, okay, yeah.
To repeat them.
Yeah. Yep. Go ahead, Cindy. Yeah.
What is your target date for starting? Will you be starting prior to the board annual meeting approval? Or do you hope to have something started in the summer or hit the ground running in the fall?
Yeah, so I mean, we wanted to do it right away, but we are a democratic community, so we will wait for the annual meeting and then start. So we had few events planned in April, but we didn't go ahead because we wanted to make sure we inform everybody and have everybody's approval for before doing that.
And we're already practicing.
Yeah, we're already,
Yeah.
it's already happening. I mean, in terms of the support, I didn't do any of the social media for last night. And it came at a time that the Northborough Educational Foundation was going on. We might have had more people. It was also a crappy night. But we had a great house. They left with good money in their pocket, and we did too. So, you know, it's working, what we're doing for the social media already. And that's a godsend, and a goddess send as well.
I just want to clarify the process. This decision to have and become a Meeting House Arts Center is the congregation's decision. It's not the board's decision. It's not well-meaning people's decision. And so they are sharing with you their interest to make this happen and hoping for your support. And then we will ratify it, if that's so your choice, at the annual meeting in June. Is that, everybody got that? Okay.
Thank you, Celia. Yeah. Yeah.
Yvonne Williams?
Yes, 5 and 6. 5 and 6. I should, if more, I'll let you know, but 5 and 6, okay?